Hi, thanks for coming back to Real Estate Insiders TV. I'm Danny Poulos with the elite lending team at Femby. Joining us now is Jana Torvi of Signature Home Management, and we're sort of going to stick on the topic of homeowners associations and how they deal with the problem of not being able to collect their fees and maybe getting themselves into some budget and financial problems. And we'll show what Jana's take on that is. But Jana, take a minute first and tell people what you do and how long you've been doing it, and then we'll get into the topic.
Sure. Thanks for having me on the show, by the way. My family's company is Signature Home Management, and we are a repair and maintenance company. And we work in Palm Beach County for investors and realtors and homeowners associations that own rental properties. And we strictly do repair and maintenance, so we don't handle the other aspects of property management. We just do all repair and maintenance for residential properties.
Right, so when you hear us say management, think repair and maintenance, because that's what we're going to be talking about.
We do the management of repair and maintenance projects for rental property owners.
Right, and I know from your company that you deal with a lot of investors, a lot of big companies, and people that own a lot of property. So if you're listening to this, this is how the people that make money renting properties, this is how they do it. So getting into the idea of homeowners associations, we talked about the association being able to take a property, do a type of foreclosure proceedings, and they're able to rent the property.
Right.
But obviously a business they're not used to or may not be used to, so where does Signature Home Management come into play?
Right. We were just learning a little bit from Attorney Kuna about how that process works, and the role that Signature Home Management, our company, plays in that process is that at the point where the homeowners association is ready to get that property ready to rent and therefore be income producing for the association, we go in and we actually manage the process of getting it ready to rent. So we do rental ready projects and other types of repair and maintenance work on about 800 properties, mostly rental properties, all over Palm Beach County. So when we go into a unit for an association that they're taking over, it's very often in disrepair and needs cleaning and needs things like appliances and that type of thing. And yeah, and all of those things are things that we can handle, and we do it all the time. For investors and realtors. So we can go into the unit, and with our knowledge of what other units in the same neighborhood and in similar neighborhoods in the same city and whatnot are going for, and how much they're improved and what the expectation is for how they appear, we can provide an estimate to get it ready to rent. And that includes everything from lock changes, trash removal, new or used appliances, handyman fixes, painting, plumbing and electrical fixes, carpeting, other floors, pools and pests, everything for residential properties to get them ready to rent. And we can typically swoop into a unit and get it ready, usually within 7 days.
All right, so the turn time, is really important, so that the HOA has really changed what they're used to doing, and now in an effort to collect their money and actually make money, they're going to become a landlord. So we have to think about the person that was living there, that they had to foreclose on. Are the units usually in pretty good condition when you go in?
It varies a lot. It really does. Sometimes they're in pretty good condition, and the unit is really needs just maybe $800 or $1,000 worth of work or even less to get it ready to rent. And then there are other times when it's in pretty bad disrepair. The appliances are gone. We were talking about that.
The plumbing.
Yeah, there are issues with the plumbing. It hasn't been repainted in years and years and years. There may be problems that, require some exterior repair. So it really depends. In these situations where we're doing work for HOAs, typically the properties can be in pretty rough shape. But we can solve that.
And I guess the association really has to make that determination up front what the expenses are going to be in this whole process, taking over the rights to rent it and then finding a tenant, which they of course would do, but having a tenant ready, I mean, if it's not right, they're going to have a hard time renting it.
Absolutely. It's definitely the cost to get it ready to rent and what you're going to get for the rent is part of the analysis of this program, just like part of the analysis is what are the legal fees going to be and where in the process is the bank foreclosure. Another part of the analysis is the maintenance and repair aspect. And then you also need to ask yourself, who's going to handle the day-to-day issues with the tenants, and we can do that as well. We serve as the main day-to-day contact for repair and maintenance issues for the tenants once they're in place for the HOA as well.
Great. Well, I would expect that's outside of the HOA's comfort zone. They're used to dealing with owners and taking care of common areas, but if someone's got a leaky toilet, they don't have someone to even take that call.
Right, that's true. I mean, they may have someone on the board who knows a little bit about leaky toilets, but they don't necessarily want to spend their time being the point person for all those, you know, the AC stopped blowing, the screen ripped types of questions. So, yeah, and then they also sometimes, the boards expect their community association managers, their CAMs, to actually step in and be the landlord for their rental units. And typically the CAMs are not able to, you know, they can do it, but it's not usually in their contract. It's not part of the original expectation that was set up between the HOA and the community association managers. So they call us in a lot to handle these projects as well for the HOAs, you know, that they're managing.
And it's, if you're dealing with so many properties, I mean, that's what you do. You're talking about 800 properties at a time.
Yes.
If the association had to step into those shoes, listen, at the beginning of this process, they're worried that they're not collecting their money.
Right.
They've had budget issues. That's the last thing they want to do is go into a situation where they're a landlord losing money as a landlord.
Absolutely.
Because they don't know how to handle the repairs and maintenance sides, right?
Right. So they have to have a plan to make it work, and we would like to be part of their plan, basically. That's how we see ourselves.
I mean, obviously, there's a reason why people use maintenance companies rather than do it themselves, because if you
Yes.
want to make money
Yes.
renting properties,
Yeah.
that's really the only way
You
to
wanna
do
bring
it,
in
and
the
the
experts.
professionals
Right.
know that that's the only way to do it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
So, I wonder why. That's good for you?
It does work out. It's a win-win, really. Yeah.
So you're going to go in really on a unit-by-unit basis, so that
Right.
they know ahead of time, because I'm thinking that too, that if they're taking it a step at a time, not knowing what's ahead,
Right.
it could be a bad situation too. So they're
Yeah.
going to have someone like attorney come in, like Jen come in, figure out what it's going to cost to get the rights to rent this unit and ownership
Right.
of this unit, but now what's it going to cost to get this ready and
Absolutely.
to appeal also to somebody to rent out,
The
right?
right type of renter for that particular unit. That's exactly right. Yeah.
So why wouldn't they just do it themselves?
Yeah, well, it's labor intensive, first of all. Being a landlord is labor intensive. You know, you need to know a little bit about a lot of things. And as far as the maintenance and repair piece, it can take a lot of time for someone. So, you know, again, when you have a property that needs 16 different vendors to come in and get it ready, if you don't have, first of all, the contacts and know people that can do each individual thing, who will stand behind their work and provide you good prices and whatnot, and people who will actually show up, and people who will show up and do good work, show up in the right order, that's a big deal too, because if you have one vendor sometimes in the string of vendors who puts you off for whatever reason or just doesn't show up ever or whatnot, that can throw everybody else's schedules off. So the way that we do it, we manage that whole process in a very professional way. You know, we're a family-owned business, and my stepfather, Gene, is a handyman. He supervises in the field. My mom, Bunny, is the person that runs the office and manages all the vendors. So she's watching out for every step of that process and making sure that everybody stays on task, on budget, and on the time frame. And that's the only way that you can get the unit ready for rent quickly. And all types of investors, whether it's our rental property owners, our realtor clients, or our HOA clients, they know, like you said, that in order to make money, the name of the game is getting those rental properties turned quickly, in the beginning and then in between tenants.
Yeah, that's really a great point, is that the association doesn't want to become a general contractor.
Right.
That's not an easy job,
No.
especially when you're
Right.
talking about case by case, and the
Yep.
way you mentioned the timing, who's got to go in next, and next,
Right.
and next. What's more
Right.
important than the turn time? I mean,
Right, exactly. And some people think that because there's such a significant convenience factor associated, you know, with all of this, that our prices are going to be really high. But I think it's important too to mention that all of our prices are at or below market rate, and our HOA clients take advantage of the same bulk prices that all of our investor clients take advantage of. Because we work on over 800 properties a year all over the county. So it's an important aspect of why they would do it through us versus handling it on their own as well.
You're also not, when you talk about working with that many vendors, so if the plumber has a problem with his truck
Right.
and has to put you off a couple of days, and you're putting everybody off a couple of days,
Yep.
really, that's what gets expensive.
Absolutely.
Not bringing somebody in. What gets expensive
Yep.
is doing it by yourself.
And having a vacant unit for a month instead of what should have been a week.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, seriously, a month's rent, if you're talking about saving pennies here and there, if something sits for 30 days, or the job just isn't done right and you can't get a tenant in there,
Right.
Even worse.
Yep.
So, I mean, this is really a business of its own. I know that the one thing we didn't talk about is a lot of times investors will come in as sort of a type of bailout,
Yes.
but those are the people you deal with every day too.
Yes, that's correct. A lot of the investors who are buying association properties or association liens as well will actually utilize us when they're ready to rent the properties as well.
Yeah, so I mean, the point being, if you want to make money owning property and renting it out, then you better do it the way successful people do it.
Right.
And that's the investors that don't do it themselves. They call a company like Signature to come in and handle everything. They wash their hands of that. They don't get
Right.
phone calls during the night about air conditioning and toilets and all that.
Right.
Which means you also have to take all the brain damage too.
Yeah.
I think some of us can't afford any
Yeah.
additional brain damage, so you're handling all the headaches also.
It's true, it's true.
What a great match for an HOA to get themselves out of a bad situation. Have somebody like Jen Kuna come in, show
Yes.
them how they get the rights to the property, then have you take over getting the property ready for rental and watch the checks start coming in.
Right, exactly.
You guys, you know each other, right? You're a good team.
We do. I've met her a couple times.
All right, so they really are a great team. I've seen them work, and that's how the formula works. So, Jana, tell everybody how they can reach you to
Sure.
get help in these situations.
Absolutely. Our office number is 561-543-9599. And when you call us, you're going to reach a friendly, available point of contact, my mom, who will be able to help you with your project.
Great. Thanks so much for coming in today. This is great information for
Thanks
everybody.
for having me.